Oh, and disclaimer, I did review a product for you guys, so if my curls don't look the best, just know that I was trying to do a review before this and it didn't turn out the way that I thought it would. So that's it. But anyways, y'all already know why we're here, okay? Last week I asked you guys to ask me anything because I wanted to do a girl chat. And y'all went in. There's one more. Oh, no, let's not make sure. When I went to a restaurant, y'all went in. Will I have time to talk about everything today? Probably not. We're gonna get ready, do my makeup, really like set this face up, but we're gonna try because there's the tea. There's so much that we gotta get into, so let's just start off and let's get ready with each other while we're discussing all of these things. Another disclaimer. I have been in many situationships. I dealt with a lot of guys. So I feel like a lot of what we're gonna be talking about today is gonna be from experience, okay? So I want y'all to know that it's coming from experience, and that's all I really wanna say. Let's get into it. Alrighty, let's start this face. And the first question, you guys, ooh, this one's really, I wanna see what you guys would say. Let me know in the comments once you hear this. But she said, what would you do if you're married and he cheated on you and brought back in a city? First of all, let's start off with this, girl. I want to start off with something super important. A girl should never feel embarrassed about catching something, especially, okay? This is when I feel like a woman should not feel embarrassed. You should not be embarrassed about catching something if you're under the impression that that man is being faithful to you. And I'm almost 100% sure that if you're married to the man, you're under the impression that it's just you two. So I just want you to know that if this is you or just you're talking about a scenario, right? Because I did ask you guys to give me scenarios, to not feel embarrassed about the fact that you caught something. Now, let's get into the question itself. What would I do if my husband gave me... I'm leaving him. You know, there are girls who... And I want to say the first thing that bothers me with that specific question. A, you're married and he cheated on you. I'm someone who believes that once a cheater, always a cheater. That for me is a... You know, there's a lot of things. I've never been married, by the way. There's a lot of things that once I'm in a relationship, I'd be willing to work through, but cheating is not one of them, because I just believe that once a man does it, he's not going to stop. So that's the first thing that I have a problem with in that specific question. Then he not only cheated on you, he gave you something. Mama, it doesn't matter if you guys are married. It doesn't matter if you've been with the man for I don't even know how long. Leave him. At that point, it's not even worth it. At that point, it's not, I mean, I don't even know what else to say to that besides leave him. Because I just feel like the ultimate betrayal in a marriage is stepping out of it. But then to also put me in a situation where now my health is at risk. You just completely don't care. You just completely disregarded the fact that there's another person involved, which is me, right? I feel like whenever people step out, that's what they're doing. They're also involving you. Okay, girl. We're about to be honest with each other, and I like this next question because I'm actually practicing celibacy right now. But the next question is thoughts on waiting until marriage to have sex. Personally, I am not someone who look, one thing about me, I'm someone that if I make a promise to God, I want to make sure that I'm fully committed to that promise, especially when it's to God. And I think that any woman who waits until marriage, it's because you're making that promise to God. And, or maybe it's just for other reasons, right? But for me, the reason why I believe that I would wait until marriage is because I know that in the Bible, that's what it says, right? Have I done that? No. I haven't waited till marriage, and I also don't think that I will be. I'm at a point in my life right now where I'm practicing celibacy, but I'm waiting until I'm in a relationship, until I have that title. That's where I'm at right now. But I don't judge women who wait until marriage. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but you know how people are like, you gotta be able to, I don't believe this, but this is what some people say. They're like, you have to sleep with the person to see if you guys are compatible intimately. And if you wait until marriage, what if once you're married you don't like it? Like, what do you do when that happens? And so that's like a topic that a lot of people bring up when they're like waiting till marriage. But I can see why a woman would have her reasons and why that's something that she would want to do. I have no problem with it, But I'm not gonna sit here and say that that's something that I would do, because I wouldn't, and I haven't. But I also think that waiting until marriage is not something that you can't ever restart. Like, just because you're not a virgin anymore doesn't mean that you can't say, hey, in my singleness, I think that this is the next man that comes into my life. He needs to be my husband in order for him to receive, to receive that from me. I don't have a problem with it, and I respect women who can do that, and I think that women who do that are strong, and all kudos to you, girl. But personally, it's not something that I know that I would do. One day I'm gonna be a mother, and it says you have children, but supposedly he's done with you, but still wants you to be attached to him. He's a narcissist. If you have children with him, supposedly he's done with you, but he still wants you to be attached to him. Let me fix this hair. Maybe you gotta move the bang. He's a narcissist, girl. And here's a problem that I have with being in a relationship, being in any kind of relationship with a narcissist, a friendship, a romantic relationship, lo que sea. Narcissistic people don't ever change. They don't. And narcissistic people only think about themselves, and you can't be in any type of relationship with a person who only thinks about themselves. It never works out. You're a grown adult who only cares about yourself. There is nothing in the book, there's nothing that you can do as a woman, there's nothing that you can do as his baby mother that is going to change that characteristic of his. A person can change, yes, but certain characteristics are just things that people are always going to carry with them. Now here, I would see why it sounds like you're entertaining the situation. Because A, the fact that you even asked me that is because it bothers you that he's doing that. And B, you have children with him, so I'm pretty sure that there's some sort of attachment that you may have with him. Correct me if I'm wrong. Girl, let me know in the comments if you watch this and that was you. But let me tell you something. And the older I've gotten, the more I've realized, growing up, I'd always be like, why do women always try to get back with their baby daddies and da-da-da-da? And now that I'm older, I would understand why you would want to make the situation work. He's the father of your children, and everyone wants to have two parents under the household. But let me tell you something, girl, you gotta let him go. Because a lot of girls will stay with men just because they have children with them. And here's the problem that I have with that. And girl, anyone who has children, correct me if I'm wrong. Even if you're trying to do what's best for your children, if you're not doing what's best for you, eventually all of those emotions that you carry, stress, anger, sometimes resentment, sometimes people stay with each other and they start to resent each other. All of that will start to play out with how you treat your children. I 100% believe that. But not only that, all that energy will transfer onto your children. A lot of people will stay in these relationships because they're like, we have kids, it's what's best. And then all that toxic energy that you're carrying with you because you know that you're unhappy, you're transferring that to your children. So like, who really wins when you're doing stuff like that? Who really wins when you're not happy, and then eventually the children that you have start to feel that energy? And I know that because I remember and we're gonna use this as an example. I remember there was a time in my life, my mom had this stressful job, right? She was a single parent. Once my dad passed, my mom she was forced to become a single parent. And I remember there was a time where she had this job that she didn't like at all, but it paid the bills. It paid the bills and it paid for everything that my sister and I needed. And I remember that my mom would always come home super stressed because of that job. And she'd eventually, and I know that she didn't do this on purpose, and maybe she didn't notice until we had this conversation with her, but eventually she transferred that energy and that stress that came from work onto us. And so I feel like that's an example of how you as a parent, when you're stressed and you're not happy, your kids are gonna feel that. Your kids are gonna feel that. So I just feel like, to answer that, girl, he's a narcissist, it's not worth it. I know that you have children with him, but if that man has made it clear to you that he wants nothing to do with you, we don't gotta talk about anything else. As long as you're present in your children's lives and you're doing your part, that's all that matters to me. That's all that would matter to me as a mother. And if I was in a situation where it didn't work out with my baby daddy, but this selfish man still wants me to run after him like we're something. No. All I need from you is to be a present father and to do your part. And that's what I would say to that, okay? I'm not a mother, so take the advice as as lightly or as heavy as you want to, but I just feel like you have to do what's best for you, especially when you have children. Especially when you have children, you have to do what's best for you. The next question has to do with breaking girl code, and let me just tell you something about me. I don't know if it's a Sagittarius in me. Anyone let me know if you're a Sagittarius. And one thing about me, I'm gonna blame everything on my sign, but I'm an extremely loyal person, and I feel like there's pros and cons to being loyal. But because of that loyalty, when it comes to my friendships, I don't play about that. I do not play about breaking girl code. Now, what does breaking girl code mean to me? I feel like breaking girl code for me means lying to me, backstabbing. Sometimes it has to do with romantic situations. You know, a lot of girls, once you're done dating someone, will feel like just because you're done dating with them, just because you're done dating them, it's okay for them to then pick up on the scraps. Because that's how I look at it. But breaking girl code for me, it's a no-brainer, not okay for me. And I feel like I'm at an age, or I'm becoming this type of person where the minute a girl does something weird to me, I don't care how long we've been friends, I don't care if this is the first time that you do something weird to me, I am seeing things for what they are and people for who they are and the things that they do, okay? So I just feel like I'm at a point where the minute you do something weird to me, you're never gonna hear from me again. Because my ability to just be like, you did something to me, I got to go, is strong, real strong. The next question has to do with finding your purpose in life. And you know, that takes time. Oof, I feel like everyone's journey in terms of finding purpose is different, but it's not something that happens overnight. And I really do believe that you have to pray over what your purpose is in life, because I feel like when you pray, God will always bring things into alignment for you to fulfill that purpose. And I'm also a huge believer, you guys, that everyone who is breathing air right now is here for a purpose. No matter how big or how small that purpose is, you are here for a reason. And until you fulfill that reason, God is not gonna take you off this earth until you do it. So I do believe that whether it's big or small, everyone has a different purpose. Some people's purpose is greater than others. And some people, I do believe that sometimes purpose can be as small as impacting one person. And you never know how you may have changed that person's life. But what are some ways that you can find purpose? I said it already, prayer. I also believe that sitting down with yourself and really thinking about the things that make you happy. Thinking about the ways that your presence can also help someone else. Sit down with yourself. What are some things that you're passionate about? What are some things that make you happy? Do you feel like what you're doing right now in your life, do you feel like you're fulfilling purpose? Do you feel like you're getting closer to that purpose? Do you feel like you haven't even tapped into what your purpose is and you just kind of been going with the flow? There's so many people, especially people my age, who are like 23, Gen Z people who are just going with the flow, and whatever life brings them, that's what it is. And there's nothing wrong with that ideology, but I feel like when you kind of go with the flow, you're not intentionally moving through this world. So I would say being intentional with every movement, being intentional with things that you do on a daily basis, the people you surround yourself with, I think that a big part of finding purpose, when you surround yourself with the right people, with people who encourage you, you can get closer to that. But if you're around people who are just discouraging you, who are distracting you, how would you even get closer to finding purpose? So I feel like it looks different for everybody, and it's not something that happens overnight, but it's definitely something that if you seek it, you will find it. Back to the dating stuff, because someone said, how do you feel about being cheated on? You guys, back to the first question that I answered, I think that once a cheater, always a cheater. I don't think that people who cheat change. I want to tell y'all about a story about something that I kind of experienced that really changed my perspective on cheating and the consequences that come with it. So back in college, by the way, we're gonna have a lot of college stories because I'm only 1 year post-grad, so I'm still recently like fresh out of college. But back in college, I was dating this guy. Me and him were really serious, and there was a time where we were very on and off. And in between one of those on and off, those off periods, he decided that he wanted to start talking to another girl, and I wasn't aware of that. Now, me and him were so on and off that during that off period, we wouldn't stay off with each other for maybe more than a week. So we were off with each other for about 2 weeks, which that was like a little concern for me, because I was like, we've never been off for this long. But no matter how long we went without being off, we'd always come back to each other. So me and him, after those 2 weeks, eventually started talking to each other again. Well, I didn't know that between those 2 weeks, and let me tell you, these men are quick. I look like a ghost right now. These men are quick. But I did not know that during those 2 weeks, this man decided that he was going to start talking to someone else. So he starts talking to someone else. And in the middle of us getting back together, I was not in the know about the fact that he had moved this girl in with him. You see where this is going? You see where this is going? So he, let me tell you something about a man. He gonna want his cake and a piece of it too. Is that the same? You know, I don't know how that say goes. But these men don't know how to just stick to one woman. So I just was not under the impression that he had another girl living with him, right? Because I'm like, who would think that during a 2-week break, a man that you've been talking to, who you're super serious with, would move someone in? Well, he moves the girl in, and the girl finds out about us. Eventually, I don't know how, but she gets my phone number. She downloads this random app, and she threatens me. Threatens me that if I don't stop talking to him, she's gonna do something. She knows where I live. I believed her because the fact that she even found my phone number. If you're telling me that you have my address, I'm gonna believe you. So I took that threat very seriously when it came to her threatening me and bringing someone alongside her to do something to me. So anyways, he cheated on me, right? After I experienced that whole ordeal, I decided that I never, ever, ever wanted to be put in that position again. I never, ever, ever wanted to be put in the position where a man was being unfaithful to me. Because y'all, when I tell you that was my first really big heartbreak. And it's funny because he was like the 4th guy that I dated. He was like the 4th guy that I dated, but this one was so serious that when he had done that to me, it really, really broke my heart. And I just felt like, it's so funny because then a couple months later, he tried coming back, and that's a whole other story because they always try to come back. But it's just so, I think going through that made me realize that I never want to be put in the position where I'm giving my all to a man and he still feels like it's okay to hurt me. So my stance on being cheated on is that it's not okay. Some girls are okay with it and they'll work through it. I'm not one of those girls. I just feel like, again, back to the first question and what I had, the commentary of my first question, it's the biggest betrayal that a man can do to you, because I feel like, and he's a child. At that point, he's not even a man, he's a little boy. Because if we are in a relationship, it's the two of us. And at the end of the day, no relationship is perfect. And if you feel some type of way about something, or you're not happy, that's a conversation that you and me need to have. Because at the end of the day, nobody's a mind reader. I don't know how to read minds. Even if I'm with that person, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna know every single feeling that they have at the moment. So I feel like if you're willing to step out of the relationship versus just communicating that with me, A, you're a child and there's no reason why I need to be in a relationship with a child. But B, at that point, if I gotta fight for my position, she can keep you. She can keep you. That's how I feel about cheating. If I feel like I'm in competition with another girl and we are in a full-blown relationship, at that point she can keep you. That's how I feel about cheating. You and me have nothing else to talk about, because the fact that you couldn't even talk to me about how you were feeling, granted, no relationship is perfect and there's always going to be those times where you have mishaps, I guess you could say, and then your only way to resolve that is by going to someone else. Stay with that person. At that point, stay with that person, babes. You and me don't even need to talk. We don't. And that's how I feel about cheating. Don't do it. And if you do it to me, just know that you're never going to hear from me again. And that's literally my resolution to a lot of things. You're never going to hear from me again. Thank you. This next question is mad funny. I think we're just going to stick to the whole dating topic for this girl chat and some friendships too. But it says, I heard the dating life in LA sucks. What is your experience so far? How are the guys? You know what's funny? I'm only 2 weeks in, babe. So I don't really know what the guys are like, but you're not wrong when you talk about LA being like, so the camera died on me in the middle of me answering that question. Pero I was here. I was telling you that you're not wrong, that I've been warned about the fact that the dating pool here is horrible and that the men are not all that. I feel like I need to experience that for myself before I'm like, the people are right. The people are right. you guys want to know something though, and I do need your advice on this. You know how we give advice to each other, okay? I be giving y'all the tea when it comes to products and stuff like that. And now I need you guys to help me with this, because back in Florida, I was doing the dating apps thing. And I don't know why, but I felt more comfortable doing that in Florida. Now, maybe it's because I have my family there. Now that I live in a state where I don't know anybody, I'm kind of scared of the dating app thing. But then I'm like, you know, with being a content creator and me having no coworkers and me working from home, I'm like, how else am I gonna meet men? Influencer events are full of women, and that's just the reality of going to influencer events. So I wouldn't be a man at an influencer event. I don't like to club anymore. I don't drink anymore. That doesn't mean that I won't go to the bar, but I'm not a drinker anymore. So it's not like I would meet a man at a bar unless I'm accompanying like one of my friends or something. But I just don't know how I'm gonna get back into dating here in LA. So my camera died again. And while I was off camera, I noticed that I had something in my tooth. And I'm not about to reshoot this entire thing. So if you guys see that little thing on the tooth, pretend you didn't see it, please. Pretend you didn't see it. But anyways, before I got cut off, I was like, I learned this from Coco Jones at a CultureCon event. But she was like, be delulu until it's choo-choo. So when it comes to dating and men, I'm gonna just be delusional that I'm gonna meet him at a grocery store, or I'm gonna meet him at a coffee shop or something like that. I know that's not how the universe works nowadays, and that's just not how the dating scene works now, but I'm gonna be delusional and I'm gonna believe it. So is the dating scene out here whack? I can't confirm or deny that because I haven't experienced, or I haven't put myself in that whole dating scene yet, but it's a constant thing that I hear from a lot of people. This is a good question. I might end it off on the 2 more, or maybe we got 2 more, because I just don't feel like I'm gonna fit everything in here. But she says, what are the pros and cons about being an influencer overall? Do you believe all men cheat? Okay, we're gonna answer the first portion because I already told y'all I believe that all men. I didn't tell you guys if I believe all men cheat actually. So let's answer the first portion of it. Pros and cons about being an influencer. I feel like there's more pros than there is cons. Pros, you create your own schedule, you're your own boss, there's financial freedom in this depending on where you are in your like career. And the other pro about it is that, at least for me, I love what I do. Every single day, it doesn't feel like work because I get to do what I love in this position. What are the cons? And I tell this to people all the time who are like, I'm trying to get into social media. I always tell people that I traded in a 9 to 5, I'm sorry. I always tell people, let's rewind, that I traded in a 9 to 5 for a 24/7, because when I tell you that this job is something that you don't get to turn off when you want to show up or not. If you want to be relevant in this space, if you want to continue to pay the bills through this job, you got to show up every single day. And for a lot of us, the majority of us, I would say 98% of us who are in this job, you got to show up every single hour. There's not like you get to like clock out and clock back in with this job. So I feel like the con about this job is that you got to be on and you don't really get breaks. Because when you do take breaks, the bills aren't getting paid. Your bills get paid when you produce. If you don't produce, the bills don't get paid. You see how that works? So you gotta be on 24/7. That's a con. Another con, I feel like I've been experiencing this now that I'm like showing more of my life with you guys and more lifestyle content, is that people feel like they're allowed to give their unsolicited opinions on things about you, on personal things that you decide to share. Granted, when you put yourself on the internet, you're putting yourself in that position of being judged, of people giving their opinions, but that is a con. Like, who doesn't want to share their life with their followers? Like, I love that I've been able to experience this entire moving situation with you guys, because it makes me feel more connected to you guys, because I know that you guys can give me advice. I know that some of you guys are older than me, so you probably experienced this and you have some good tips. So like, I love being able to experience this with you guys. But the negative side of now that I'm introducing more personal things is that people feel like they can just say whatever because they think they know the full situation, or they think that they fully know you. And I've always had a problem with people just like feeling like they can butt into things that I never asked their opinion on. You feel me? So like, I feel like that's a con of social media, is that that's what comes with it. It comes with not everyone being nice to you. It comes with people feeling like they know you so they can just tell you what to do. And granted, I love my followers, and I know the people who have anything negative to say, those are people who are just being haters. But that's a con. And I feel like those are really the only cons for me. It's just like the internet not always being nice, and then there not being an off button for this job. Like, you gotta be on or get lost. You really can't get lost. Like, it's really easy if you don't stay afloat to just become irrelevant, which is really sad. So that's the pros and cons. Now, what do I believe that all men cheat? Yes. I do. In some shape or form, though. Okay? Because if you're thinking about cheating in terms of like sexually intimate, let's just say intimate, because I don't know if YouTube don't find it. Like, if you're saying cheating intimately, I bet there's some guys who have self-control. But I do believe that all men cheat in some shape or form in terms of sometimes it might be intimately, sometimes it might be emotionally, sometimes, well, those are the only two ways that a man can cheat, right? Emotionally and intimately. And not every guy partakes in the intimate way. But I do believe that sometimes it does become emotional for some people. Like for us girls, when we cheat, I think, for the majority of girls, right? I think that it's just because it's an emotional thing more than it is a physical thing. For men, it's more of a physical thing than it is emotional. Yeah, the answer to that is that all men can cheat. Either emotionally or physically, but they do it. All of them. I believe that. It's just in their blood. It just is. That's just the sad part. But you know, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if you've been in a relationship for a long time and he's never cheated. Period. Love that for you. And maybe there's hope. Maybe there's hope. Okay. Ooh, this is where I want to end it off with, because I see a lot of dating ones, but I feel like we can talk about these in another video. The question is elevating a relationship with God. It's a beautiful thing. I agree. I agree. Let me tell y'all something. If you haven't, I don't know, maybe some of you guys know this. God is number one in my life. Let me go get my liner. Give me 1 second. God is number one in mi vida. He is everything to me. So it's funny because I actually grew up in the church. Growing up, my mom was super Christian. My mom used to do this thing on a weekly basis where she would have my sister and I memorize Bible verses to get toys. Like, that's how I grew up. I grew up in the church. And then eventually my mom kind of stopped going and we stopped going. And I revisited my relationship with God again in college because, I got this liner. In college, give me a second. In college, I was going through I was first gen, I was like experiencing like heartbreak and all that stuff, and I was just going through it that first year of college, and all I felt like was the only person that I can turn to was God. And I became that's when my relationship with God, and this is the story for a lot of girls, that's when my relationship with God began to strengthen. I started going to church again every morning, and I really want to get back into this. I really want to build this into my routine again. Every morning in college, at least freshman year, I would always wake up and get ready to gospel music, and it used to be something that would just lift my spirits up. It'd give me peace. It'd be my way of connecting with God first thing in the morning. So I was very, very in tune with my faith in college, and I was just reintroduced. Let me put this. I keep feeling like I'm hearing noises, y'all. Ugh. I don't like this anxiety that I'm getting. So yeah, I got close with him again. And let me tell you something about, I feel like this has been a journey since, for the past 7 years, I've really built my relationship with God, because I started in 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 6 years. For the past 6 years, just strengthening my relationship with God. It's me having to count. There is nothing like having a relationship with God. There is nothing that will give you more peace than a relationship with God. In times where you have no one else to lean on, God is always the answer. It's always the way. I feel like I can get emotional about that, because y'all, even when you don't deserve his grace, he gives it to you. There have been times where I was hard-headed, where God clearly told me that what I was trying to do was the wrong thing, and he still protected me. He still covered me. He still gave me grace. There is no one that will ever give you grace the way that God will give you grace. There is no one that will always believe in you the way that God believes in you. Because let me tell y'all something. I think us as humans, when we're experiencing or when we're around someone who's hard-headed, to some point, because let me tell y'all something, when we are in friendships and relationships and someone's super hard-headed and they're just not listening, to some point, we just become like, I feel like we just become these type of people that are like, you know what? I'm gonna let them be and I'm gonna let them learn their lesson on their own since they don't want to listen. And that's how we are with people. We're so quick to give up on people, but God is the complete opposite. Because no matter what you do and no matter how many times he has to tell you, he will never, ever, ever, ever give up on you. Ever. Ever. And I know that from experience, like I said, because I've done too much in my life where God is like, that's not the right thing to do. But I decided to take it as a what is it? As a piece of advice. No. I decided to take what God would clearly tell me was not right and be like, okay, God, that's cool. And not fully listen to him. And then guess who it ended up biting in the behind at the end? Guess who have to suffer the consequences of those actions? Because even though God was clearly telling me to not do it, I decided to do it. But guess who was still there waiting for me with open arms? God. It's always gonna be God. He's always gonna be there for you. So I feel like that's my stance on building a relationship with God, is that it's super important. At least for me, the woman that I am today is because of him. It's because of my relationship with him. It's because of my faith. I would not be here. When I say that I would not be here today, I feel like when people are like, I would not be here today without God, and they say that so lightly, I want y'all to know that I wholeheartedly mean that I would not be here today if it wasn't for him. Wholeheartedly. I don't even think I'd be here being able to make YouTube and being able to do this as a career. I would not be standing right here with you guys if it wasn't for God getting me through some of the roughest times in my life. And I've been through a lot. And I really want to start, like, I feel like once I get more comfortable, like, talking more about the things that I've been through, because y'all, your girl done been through it. And it's so funny because I say this all the time, but people looking at me probably wouldn't believe half of what I've been through in my life. Looking at me, you probably wouldn't believe that I've been through a lot, right? You probably wouldn't. But make sure that you get good with God, because when you get good with him, a lot of things become good for you. A lot of things. And I'm not saying that life will get easier, but life will become more peaceful when you have that relationship. So I hope I didn't ramble about that. It's something that I'm super passionate about. Everyone's really, and I will say this. Let me say this one thing, because there's something that someone did that bothered the heck out of me. Because there's something that bothers me more than this. Your relationship with God and your journey in building that relationship with God does not have to be the same thing as the person next to you. And don't ever feel forced to have a certain relationship with God because you see how other people's relationship with him are. Everyone's journey in terms of learning him, of really building that solid relationship is different. And I dislike, let me not say hate when we're talking about God, but I dislike people who try to force the relationship that they have with him onto other people, because everyone's relationship is different and everyone's journey to even building a relationship with him is completely just different, right? We gonna keep saying different. It's just different. So I just want you to know, anyone who's maybe in the middle of building a relationship with him, or just thinking about, like, how do I even start this? You define that relationship with God. You define what he means to you, and don't let anyone on the internet, don't let anyone in your life, anyone in your circle, anyone in your family tell you how it's supposed to go down. That was just that. But I'm done with my makeup. Y'all, this girl chat was all over the place, but it was really more about, if I could summarize what this girl chat was about, it was about dating, transitional periods in your life and how to handle it, and we ended off with a relationship with God. But it was all over the place, but I tried. Okay, this is my first girl chat ever. I hope that you guys, like, kind of, like, felt what I was trying to tell y'all, because I feel like sometimes when I be trying to say stuff, like, I just be all over the place. But it was so fun getting to chit chat with you guys. This is the final look. Let me put on some setting spray. Look. Okay, you guys, how do you guys it's the freaking setting spray. How do you guys feel about the final look? I feel like this is giving it's giving giving like very light beat. I don't even feel like it's giving light beat. It's giving like skin, but whatever. Alrighty, you guys. So this is the final look. Thank you guys for joining this girl chat. I feel like I really want to like continue doing these. I wasn't able to answer every question, so I feel like we gotta make another video so I can answer everything. But I think that what I learned is that maybe I gotta keep it on one thing when we're talking about girl chats, because this girl chat was like all over the place, but I feel like we hit some really good topics that I know a lot of girls are either going through or they want more advice on. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, I reviewed a hair product and that's why my hair looks a little bit crazy. But like always, like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you guys want to see more of, and I'll see you guys next time.